Start the recording. Officially welcome out everyone to the Market Watch group. Weekly market wrap up. My name is Scott. I will be your host. As we close out this week, this will be an interesting one. As always, a quick reminder. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. We don't give guidance. We don't give recommendations. Everything is for education and illustrative purposes only. Yada, yada, yada. All right. What are we going to do today? We'll look at today's market. Obviously, we didn't know. We figured a bounce was likely coming. We got that bounce. So when we look at the totality of that bounce relative to this week's market action, what does that mean to us when we revisit our market posture? What are your thoughts for trades? I saw entries for a couple new trades. So if you're wondering about carrying some trades, sure, there's going to be reasons to carry trades over the weekend. Absolutely, I think that. However, how you carry it, do you, has it moved already? Do you think about taking some profits possibly? Do you think about tightening stops, etc.? We'll look at what to look for next week. So we'll take a peek at the economic calendar, what information is coming out. How do we feel like we should be processing it? Cannot hear me. Can everyone hear me? It looks like one person cannot. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why we have one person without the audio. I need to put together some common troubleshooting, right? What to do if your audio's not working. Make sure the screen share works. There's just not much I can do right now. It looks like they already tried popping out and in. Every now and again, there's just an audio issue. We even saw it with Glenn yesterday. So, yeah. Let me just type it real quickly here. And then we'll get cracking. Okay. Opportunity list. There's still an opportunity list. I still see plenty of things. Financials, industrials, maybe even some consumer. Not so much in discretionary, not so much in technology or communication services, even energy. A little bit of healthcare. So there are areas of momentum, without a doubt. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it. How do we end up today? S&P is up 1.11, Dow 1.74, NASDAQ 0.91, Russell 1.34. Oil's down a little today overall, although energy still looks okay. Gold up 1%. So what do we have going on? Olympic ad spend at record levels. Oh. Calm inflation reading keeps door open for September cut. Dow soars over 750. Fed's preferred inflation gauge steady. So steady. The problem is this. Let's go look at the economic calendar. Yeah. What do we have next week? Monday, nothing. Tuesday, consumer confidence. As long as it stays near 100, I'm okay with a little drop in that. That's not a big deal. Job openings, we were at 8.1 million. We were at 8.1 million and looking now for 8 million. It's basically the same thing. You know what? Give me one. Oh, goodness. I want to show this because we look at that one and I've talked about it, but I don't feel like I've shown it. Okay. Job openings. All right, here you go. So this is the job openings number here. So yeah, people are talking about, yeah, it's coming down. Well, yeah, of course it's coming down. Because as you hire and as you know, the jobs were filled or as the market realized it didn't need them or whatever else, it's come down. But this is prior. This is 20. Okay, it's not as low as I thought. I actually had it down in this area. That's what I was thinking of back in 2016, 2017, year around 5.6 million at any given time, give or take. Right? Let's see. Yeah, you can see here 7,000 to 75. That was prior to the pandemic in a good economy. We haven't fallen back to that level yet. We're close. We're closer than I thought. But to me, that's just getting back to normal, right? We had this spike from 6,800 to 6.8 million to 12 million. And then it's just been coming back down since. But normal is back here. I'm glad we looked at that. I'm gonna bookmark that. What else is happening this week or next week? ADP employment, that's private. That's expected to go up still, staying above 150,000. We have Chicago Business Barometer. I don't really care. Obviously, the Fed meets on Friday. It's Friday today. The Fed meets on Tuesday and then continues to Wednesday. And then on Wednesday, they announce. Nothing expected. Right? We'll go look at the Fed here in a second. Nothing expected for today or this week. Then we have jobless claims. Then we have non-farm payrolls also expected up near 200,000. Unemployment expected to stay at 4.1. If it goes to 4.2, if and when unemployment goes to 4.2, it's going to trigger. It's going to trigger an indicator called the SOM indicator, which is going to have a lot of people in an uproar about a recession. And I'm going to say I'm ignoring it for now. If that's the only weakness people are touting that they're noticing in the market, that's not enough. The fact that we're 0.5% above historic unemployment lows, I'm okay with that. What do we have this week? So GDP came in at 2.8, real strong. Jobless claims stayed flat. Income dropped a little bit, not great. Spending dropped a little bit, okay. PCE was flat. We got expectations across the board. So, what does that mean? I mean, if it was better than expected, that might encourage a September. But the fact that GDP was as strong as it was, the Fed is not in a hurry, in my opinion. Right? Yeah. The Fed is definitely not in a hurry. So, okay. Let's take a quick peek at the Fed. So the September I don't know. It's definitely baked in. It's I mean, you've got 12% of people thinking that the Fed's going to cut a half a point, with literally nobody forecasting that it stays unchanged, which is kind of baffling to me. In fact, you have 0.4% of people who are more convinced that it's going to drop by 3/4 of a point, which is madness, just utter madness. Then you do have people who think it's going to stay unchanged in September. I got to tell you, I still think unchanged is absolutely a valid possibility. Okay, so if we go to November, 2-1 for the second cut in November. Only 30% think that's going to be the first cut, which is an interesting thing. I don't see how it can get to 30% there with nobody thinking it's going to stay the same now. I would think if only 30% of the people think they'll cut it and then leave it, I don't know. It is all but a certainty from this indicator. God, I don't know. I just still feel like there's some hesitancy from you there. Anyone else want to weigh in? What do we think? Cut in September, cut in November. What's the consensus in our group as of right now? November. I feel that same way. I don't see what the rush would be. They're not in a rush. After the election, Clint, I agree with that as well. Yeah. Anyway, Steven, good to see you. All right, let's go look at the market itself and talk about that. So the market is up. Yeah, we've given quite a bit back here all of a sudden since we started talking. We got a little bit of bump up and then boom, right back down into this area here. So we are positive for the day. But it's not any kind of like, oh, look at that. This thing is turning. Maybe it's turning. Maybe it's just going to pause for a couple of days and drop some more for all we know. But I do think that we're sitting right on top of the 50, and there's enough other things that do look good. So let's take a look at the VIX, and then we're going to go into our watch list and see what we think about that. Okay. VIX is down about, I mean, this is a good day for the VIX. It's definitely come down quite a bit. We saw it happen this same way here, though. Not even, let's see, was that Monday? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. But it came down, pause, pop up, coming down. Overall, still escalating, and that's concerning. Yeah. Yeah. But we're also still below 18, and 18 is not that bad. So, am I willing to put on a couple of trades thinking that where we are now may have some semblance of the bottom? One of the things that we've been looking at, if we take a quick peek back at the SPY again, I'm going to back it up just a little bit further. If we take this back to a year, right? What we have decided is we have two different versions of what might be happening. We've got this one here, and that was about a 5%, maybe 5.1%, something like that, right? That's a percent sign, obviously. Okay. And then back here, we have this move. This was 10%. But it was, broken into chunks. So we got a 4% drop here, and then we got a 5% drop here, and then about a 5% drop here, with little 2% upswings along the way. What does that mean? Well, that means that from right here, would I expect to see a 2% upswing? Yeah. No matter which one of these it is. Here, that was not the drawing I wanted. Here, we got an upswing, a minor pullback, and then we went again. And that indicated that the move was over. Our posture never got too bad, which is where we are now. Our posture is probably going to decline again this week, possibly down near the 3s. Does that mean we're bearish? Does that mean no? In fact, the exact same thing happened. You can go back and look at the historical. We dropped at the bottom of this down to about a 3.5. So if I end up somewhere around there now, yeah, well, the same thing happened back here too. Right? I was about a 3.5 in either one of these. So the question is, I'm going to change to blue. This area that we seem to be entering, this is where we're wondering, okay, now, 3 things that I think could happen here. Three core possibilities. Okay? Possibility number 1, we bounce up a little bit, it pulls back, bounces again, and replicates what we saw back in late March, early April. I'm giving that the highest probability right now, simply because that's the last thing we saw, and our market's very similar now to what it was then. After that, the next 2 potentials for me are scenario B, which is we end up with a correction like we had back in August, September, October. In which case, we might think it's going to start to get worse. And if that happens, you're going to dial back on your risk. You're going to maybe maybe buy some puts speculatively, but not a lot. We're not bearish by any stretch in that situation. We just think that there may be enough momentum to try to do a bearish trade. So those are 2 different things. The third possibility is a V. So the V would be something that just like, am I on blue? It would be like it just explodes up right here from the bottom. If it's a V, you better put trades on now or you're not going to get those trades on. If it's A, where it goes up, down a little, then up again, then I can put a couple on here. And if it does this sequence, I can get more on here and still keep the first ones, which is very similar to what happened back here. If it turns into the correction, then we're going to have to be quick to make adjustments coming in on the next series of trades. So yeah, I mean, it's not like any number of things could happen. We've got a few core sequences of events that we think is likely, right? More likely than not, based on the trends we have now, based on money flow. So right now, do we see a consolidation in technology and such? Yeah. Let's correlate that to what we're seeing, and then we'll get to the watch list here. My giant tool did it again. It does this funky thing sometimes, and sometimes I feel like I'm just pushing buttons until it fixes itself. I cannot get it right now. Okay, here we go. And then I forgot where I was going. To the watch list? That sounds right. To the watch list. Apple. I actually would maybe still think about Apple. Except for the fact that we have earnings, and earnings haven't been going well for we were going to correlate. We were going to correlate this to XLK. That's what it was. That's what it was. Hold on. Hold on. So here's XLK. What happened in XLK? The same thing. It dropped out hard and then it recovered quickly. So yeah, I'm looking for the recovery right now. Over the next couple of weeks, over the next week or two, I'm looking for the recovery on technology, because if it's going to be a correction, I think it's going to recover. Otherwise, it might drop a little worse, but I am going to be patient and waiting for it to come. Right? So I am going to wait for you can see we're not trying to call the bottom. We have plenty of time to wait for the signal to come and give us confirmation. Apple, I would actually think about. The only problem is Apple is right on the cusp of earnings, and so there's just really not much we can do with that. AMD, no. Anything that's in a consolidation like this, I'm waiting for it to break. You know the standard pattern. I'm waiting for it to break, come back, give me a higher low. Anything other than that, no deal. I'm a spectator. AXP, and now all of a sudden what? This is where we see viability, financials. Viability in AXP, viability in BAC. Where else? Industrials. BLDR looks good. Citigroup looks good. That's absolutely viable. Right? Absolutely viable. The two I put out today were energy, which is a bit off cycle, and Fastenal, which is, you'll see here in a second, an industrial. I also think there's financials, and if it's not today, then we'll have the ability to look at those next week. Caterpillar looked pretty good. You could have gone with any number of different industrials. Here's Colgate-Palmolive, consumer staples. Here's Chipotle, still in a consolidation. Oil. So here, oil's down a little bit. Energy's doing all right. Costco is flat. Down overall, though. CSX looks viable. That's in railroads within the industrial sector. Carvana. It's got earnings, but I would think about it if it didn't. Ford got beat up on earnings recently. Nothing there. Fastenal looks pretty good, right? What do we have? We have that pattern. We said it broke this consolidation. Boom. Got up here. Pulled back. Higher low. Stochastics giving confirmation. Great. Let's see if we can make a run up here this time. Yeah. I would call this a flag, even though it was 4 days. I'd still call that flaggy. A flaggish pattern. FCX, no. GBTC, Bitcoin's just a little bit, just kind of a funky deal, to be fair. Gold. Yeah, gold looks bullish. GM broke support, broke the 50. That certainly adds additional stressors to the consumer sector. So, we want to be careful with that. Google down. Nothing there for us. Home Depot, that's viable for me for a consumer play, right? Once again, there's the breakout of a consolidation. Nice bullish move. Buyers are done for a minute. Take a break. Sellers come. That's what they did. Not a lot of volume there. Time before earnings. Yeah, that's viable. If you took it, I'd say viable. I'm less bullish on consumer discretionary, though. That would be the concern, is that the overall sector not quite as strong. IWM, it's kind of sitting at resistance. KBH is basically the same thing. Coca-Cola had a nice bull run. Meta is in consolidation. I have no interest in this at all. Not until it goes through the works. I was watching MFC. I'm actually a no. I think there's enough strength everywhere else in financials that we don't need to settle for something like this. My goodness, look at 3M. 23% up today. Smashed higher and then just ran all day long. Very, very bullish. They must be selling a lot of duct tape these days. A lot of duct tape requirements. Morgan, kind of gave it back at the end. Otherwise, that looks viable still to me. Microsoft is in consolidation. Micron is down and low. Netflix is down and low. PLTR. I mean, if there was anything in technology that I would say is viable, that's probably it. But I don't think I'm interested in. Right now, the way I see it is you found a neighborhood, and that neighborhood's on fire. All the houses but one. That one house is still okay, and you're like, I can get a good deal on that house right now. But it's like, you sure the fire's not going to spread? I feel like it might. For me, it's a pass. Yeah, I have to, same thing, acknowledge this. It's a double move. I'm not trying to call bottoms here. SPY. So we've kept about over 1%, 1.12. But we gave back a good chunk. TJX looks viable for a consumer play, but again, is the group strong enough right now? That's a question that we maybe would want to answer. TSM, no. UUP. The dollar staying flattish. Well, we can live with that. It's so quiet. Is there anything I'm missing, you guys? Is there one that I liked that you thought, I don't see why you like that, Scott? Is there one that we looked at that I didn't like and you're thinking, I think I like that one, Scott? The trades that came out in alerts were Fastenal. And in fact, I used, if you want to know where the stop came from, I did not go with the stop loss below these candles here. I went underneath these two bodies here. Now that I have this, right, I'm looking at that as being this candle here. So I'm thinking I should have 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully I get 5 days of momentum. Maybe 7 if they're not as big, whatever. But right now my stop loss is here. After Monday, I'll move it here. And then after that, the next Heiken Ashi will be around there. And I'll move it underneath. Remember, it always starts at the halfway point of the next candle. So if the next candle is small, it might go like this. Then you're thinking, oh, that's maybe coming to an end before it really got going. But it's going to help to manage it, right? So that's one trade. That's XLE. That's not XLE. That's FAST. Here's TJX. Not bad. No turn yet. I'm thinking about it for a consumer. TSM, no. Down. UUP, down. Okay. Coke. I think Coke's overextended. Well, I mean, okay. It does look like it's trying to reinvigorate itself, doesn't it? I would imagine actually you have some Heiken Ashi candles showing up right now that look pretty good. All right, so we had a little bit of a transition and then starting to... I think it's viable. I think Coke is viable. A bit defensive, but the Dow is moving right now, so I see what you're looking at there. The other one, let's look at the XLs. So XLB. XLB, there's some viability in materials for sure. Communication services, no. Nothing there. Energy, yes. Right? So you can kind of see, what are we looking at? Well, this is a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. And this is a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. So you can kind of see we've got some kind of a little something going on. But most definitely support, bounce, stop. So this is my risk. Target is going to be to look for this to happen again. Zoop, somewhere up in there. Yeah, there's the trade. Maybe it was 96.50. Maybe it was a little lower than that, actually. But yeah, that gives you a sense of it, right? I hope. You were looking at an example with MFC. You know what's funny? I was looking at MFC, and then even during the week, I actually ended up moving to something else as an example. Although because I put it on, I built the trade. I actually stuck it on in the paper account. Oh, you know what? XLE Fastenal. I'm going to quickly put on, I just am tracking things in here. So let me look at the Fastenal trade for a second. I thought I had put some stocks on that. Now I have to remember the alert. What the alert was? I can't even remember. 70.25. 70.25 was like the hope. Oh, we're getting pretty close to that there, actually. Let's say I was buying this stock. Nope, that's a sell. Let's say I was buying this. And my stop loss was at 68.10, let's say. Okay, my target at 75.50. And if I'm only going to do, let's say, about $100 of risk. Is that what I did on the other one? Let me just see real quickly here. What did I do on XLE? About 100. Okay. So I'm going to only do, let's say, 50 shares. That puts me at about 100. You can see it's about 2.5 to 1. I'm going to confirm and send. Now, I left these orders without managing orders so that I have some things we can use as examples when we do our trading foundations class next week. I want us to have some live examples. So we if you haven't, you should at least paper trade these. If you want to take it and turn it into an option, great, right? You have that ability. If you didn't get it today, these will still be valid come Monday. And if you want to practice trying to turn it into an option, this is just a stock trade, just to kind of give, we were working on first stock trade, so I thought it makes sense. That's what we're doing. So that'll give us something to talk about. At the end of the day, I would expect our market posture to decline a little bit. Right, we were at a 5. It could probably drop even another point. Maybe we drop to a 3.75, a 4, 4.25. Not enough that I'm concerned. I still am leaning more towards a bullish outcome from this than anything else. I think that if we get through this, there'll be some more windows next week. Okay, there we are. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Well, what else? The new video series is posted. Go take a look at that. We've had a few people already reach out with feedback. They said they're really enjoying it. I hope so. But I definitely want your feedback. Let me know, like, hey, yes, this is good, but I feel like I have the ability to like maybe sneak some other parts in there if I needed to, or make some on the fly adjustments and keep that strong. Monday or Sunday regular time, 9 a.m. for me, 11 a.m. Eastern time for market posture. Starting on Monday morning, that's my goal. I'm targeting Monday morning to start having the YouTube simulcast, which means if you ever are in Discord and you can't get audio to work and you're like, oh, I'm so frustrated, you can pop out, go to YouTube, pop into our channel and watch it live. You won't be able to interact. I'm not checking comments or anything there, but I am going to be putting it out so that it kind of creates like a secondary catch-all if things aren't working. That's the goal. So I'll let you know for sure if that's in place. But I do feel like that'll give us a nice little alternative. In fact, to be perfectly honest, when people do have problems, I actually find that their chat is still working in Discord. And so you would actually be able to stay and chat on Discord, go listen in on YouTube, and still actually participate via chat. I agree, Stephen. Stephen said most of them have been solved by logging out and back in. I want to put together like if your audio isn't working, do this. If it's right, like maybe, where we have a couple of steps of things that you can do that I could hurry and blast to someone if they have an issue. So I'm, put it on the list of things to do. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're in a good place. I feel like we're in alignment with what we see in the market right now, how we should be trading it. Keep the conversation going. I'm going to keep reminding you that we're starting to get a lot more traction, a lot more interaction with people, on Discord. So keep the conversation going. All right. It's great to see everybody. I look forward to Sunday. Was anyone, before I go, was anyone with Glenn this morning, the first hour? He reached out to me. He said it was a great conversation. Great conversation. So if you're missing out on those right now he's coming on Wednesday afternoons for market close, Friday morning for market open, and then he's doing a Thursday night with the foundation. So you have a great ability to interact with him in those sessions, very interactive sessions. So, all right, great. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. It's great to see everybody. And as always, happy trading.